Hello everybody, it's Anna and welcome back to my booktube channel. So thank you first of all for all of your kind words wondering about where I've been for the past month or so. Don't worry, I'm not dead, I'm still here, still alive, still making booktube videos. I'm just in the middle of a job transition right now and it's been really difficult to find the time to sit down and actually go through the process of making, editing, and captioning a new video, especially because I haven't been reading as many full-length books as I'm used to, just because that is the nature of life sometimes. You don't get the chance to read as much as you want to, but that's okay. So today I wanted to go ahead and make a video that I've been talking about for some time actually, and I've been putting off, I don't really know why, and that's a video about my favorite current ongoing comic book series. Now, some of these are comic series that I read in their trade paperback form, which is, if you don't read comics, that's the sort of book version of it, sometimes also called a graphic novel that usually collects multiple issues of an ongoing comic series into an actual physical book format. And some of these I read just as single issue comic books when they come out. It really just depends on the title, it depends on who the publisher is, how they're published, what I can get a hold of. So I want to go ahead and start with some books that I picked up recently at my local comic book shop. The first one of those is the one I'm most excited for, and that is Volume 3 of the Monstrous series by Marjorie Liu and Sana Takeda. This is one of my favorite ongoing comic book series. It's one of the ones that I actually like enough that I ask them to just set aside one of the trade paperbacks for me because I know that I'm going to want to own it in book form. So the downside of that means that I don't get to read it as they exactly come out, but it is awesome to be able to have this much content to go through and binge read. So this third volume, Micah's journey takes her to the neutral city of Pontus, where she hopes to find temporary refuge from her pursuers. Unfortunately, Pontus may not be as safe as Micah and her allies had hoped. As the impending war between humans and Arcanics creeps ever closer, and powerful players fight for the chance to control her future, Micah finds she must work with Zin, the monstrum that lives inside her, in order to ensure their mutual survival. But even that alliance might not be enough to prepare Micah for the horrors to come. This is a mature comic book series, so this is definitely one that's for more mature readers that are looking for a slightly darker, I don't know, do I want to call this fantasy? It's like its own cool, neat thing. But anyway, that is Monstrous. I'm very excited to read this. I will let you know how it is. And then we have a couple single issue titles that I've been reading. One of those is the Steven Universe Harmony series. This is a little mini series that is supposed to take place kind of where the last episode of the show left off, as kind of a way to bridge the story between the last episode that's aired and then the new ones that are to come. This one, at least from what I can tell, focuses on Steven helping Sadie through quitting her job at the Big Donut to enjoy her career as an artist and a musician and stuff like that. And as a fan of the show, I really like this comic book series. Another one that I've been reading is a little limited mini-series called The Last Siege. It's published by Image, and this is kind of I thought it was going to be a little Game of Thrones-esque, but the story is actually a lot tighter. It just follows the lives of this small group of people that are in the midst of a castle that is under siege in the Middle Ages, and I'm not really sure where the story is going yet because this, what is this? The fourth volume, and I haven't read the third one either yet, so the third and the fourth are probably gonna build up to whatever the final dramatic crescendo of the story is. But I really, really like this. I love the artwork. I love the way that the artists play with light and shadow, and the way that the lines are drawn in a very dynamic way. This artist draws movement really, really well. So gotta love the Middle Ages type stories, as I do. And then next up is a couple of fantasy related ones. I've been reading a lot of modern fantasy lately, which is published by Dark Horse, and it is kind of a spoof of the Dungeons and Dragons type dungeon crawler storytelling, things like that. And then the next one that I have that's kind of D&D related is called Rolled and Told. This actually hasn't started to come out yet. I think it's coming out later this month or in early October. But it's basically a D&D-esque comic. It's not the official D&D comic, but it's a D&D comic. And it also contains like an adventure module for you to run with your friends. And this issue right here was actually one that I just got to pick up for free at my comic book store. They were giving these away as kind of like a way to pique people's interest in the upcoming series. And it looks pretty cool. I'm enjoying it so far. I haven't got the chance to run the campaign yet, but I'm also going to try to do that. Okay, next up will come as a surprise to nobody who is familiar with comics at all, but the like reboot retelling of the Sandman universe comics I also picked up. I picked this particular cover because I really love the way that it's illustrated. I like the little chibis of death and the different characters. So this takes place in the general universe of Neil Gaiman's Sandman comics, but it isn't like a continuation of where those stories left off. It is an actual standalone extended universe type story. I actually still have to read all of the Sandman comics, but I just wanted to pick this one up because it was so beautiful, and comics I definitely do judge a little bit by their covers, especially since that artwork is such a big part of the way that the story is told. I think that that's especially important. So there's that. There's another couple that I have here, and then some indies. So I have Flavor, which is this is kind of like a culinary coming-of-age story. It's about a young chef that lives in this sort of futuristic alternate universe in which everything revolves around food. The economy revolves around food. Everyone's profession revolves around food. You know, it's in their currency. It's in their late-night fight clubs, which are just like who can make the best noodles and things like that. And she's trying to like work her way towards becoming the best, most amazing chef because of some stuff that's been going on with her family. Let's see. This is one of my current ongoing favorite queer comics of all time, and that is Fence. Now, normally I don't really read a lot of books that are about sports. That's just not something that's super interesting to me. Like, I don't particularly like or dislike reading about sports. I'm just indifferent. But I picked up Fence at the recommendation of a couple of my friends that were like, oh, it's so good, it's a queer comic, you're gonna love it, you really have to read it. And it's absolutely amazing. So it's about these boys that have a fencing rivalry, and they go to this like prestigious boarding school where a bunch of the students are like training to become elite fencers. So you get to know like all of the different people that are on the team and their different personalities and their motivations and whatnot. But a lot of the sort of tension of the story centers around like the main two rivals. The one kid, Seiji, who is kind of like this child prodigy who's never been bested or anything like that. And then, oh shoot, I've totally forgotten the main character's name. Nicholas. Nicholas is the main character's name, who's sort of the young, scrappy underdog who is resentful of Seiji, but they also have like this weird chemistry with each other despite their deep-seated rivalry. So I definitely recommend this if you're looking for like queer comics or an unexpected read. I really did not expect that I would like this as much as I did, and even though I am buying it in single issues, I think it's one of those titles that I will switch over to getting in book form just because I want it to last forever, and I would really love to have the book editions. And then finally, I have a couple comics that I picked up from my comic book shop that I haven't read yet. So the one that I go to has a pretty substantial offering for like indie presses and local authors and things that are outside of the major comic book publishers. And this one is published by a local author artist. It is called Transformed by Al Nguyen. And it is a series of comics that I believe are possibly inspired by the author's own life, but are kind of fantastical about the author's transition from female to male. And it is absolutely beautifully drawn, simply done in black and white. And I'm just interested in this type of story. I'm interested in the way in which like modern comics treat questions of gender and sexuality. And you know, we get a fair number of comics, at least the ones that I read, that touch on like queerness and stuff like that, but not necessarily that have it as like the focal point of the main character's arc. So I am interested to read this. It is a complete series already, which I purchased all 4 of these because I knew I was going to read all of them, but I'll show you the different covers. This is issue 2. issue 3. Wow, I definitely thought that this was a butt. It's not, it's just a giant plant. And issue 4. So beautiful. I cannot wait to read all of these. So this is just a small sampling of the different comic series that I read. I am signed up for probably like 10 different single issues and things like that. That's respectable. It's not as much as some people that I know, but I do really still enjoy reading comics quite a lot. I enjoy different, like, alternate methods of storytelling than just the same old kind of novels that I'm used to reading. I like novels. I just sometimes am in the mood for something that's a little bit more bite-sized, but still very rich, I suppose. And I find that a lot in comics. So yeah, if you read comics at all, leave me a comment down below and let me know what kind of titles you enjoy. I'm always looking for new recommendations. I will try pretty much anything. I tend to stay away from most things that are super dark and gory just because, but like I said, Monstrous is still one of my favorite titles, so I'm not necessarily opposed to it. It's just usually not the first thing that I'll gravitate towards. And if you don't read any comics, what are your thoughts on any of these titles that I suggested? Did any of them sound interesting to you? And do you have, I don't know, any questions about comics and reading them and making them and things like that? So yeah, if you enjoyed this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up, and please do not forget to subscribe to my channel. I am trying to get back into the swing of making more videos so that this channel can grow and more of us can talk about books and enjoy ourselves. So thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.